it's ready.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Today, I'm arguing that the United States should provide reparations to black Americans, not based on emotion, but based on history, responsibility, and precedent. First, we have to acknowledge a simple fact. Slavery in the United States was not accidental. It was legal, government supported, and foundational to the country's economy. And when slavery officially ended in 1865 with the 13th Amendment, the harm didn't just disappear, it evolved. We saw systems like convict leasing, where black men were arrested on minor charges and forced into labor. We saw segregation and redlining, which blocked black families from owning and building wealth. And even programs meant to help all Americans, like the Servicemen's Readjustment Act of 1944, were applied in ways that largely excluded black veterans. At one point, the government even promised formerly enslaved hard working people 40 acres and a mule, only to take it back. That wasn't just a missed opportunity, that was a denied foundation for generational wealth, which of course we know many whites have today. Now, here's the key point. Reparations are not a new or radical idea. The United States already has done this before. After the Japanese internment, the government admitted wrongdoing and paid survivors $20,000. In cases like Cobell versus Salazar, Native Americans received compensation for financial mismanagement and stolen resources. Of course, we know that the Native Americans' land was stolen and they received reparations. Of course, we know that we did the Japanese wrong. We dropped a whole bomb on top of them and they received reparations, $20,000 to be specific. So the principle is already established. When the government causes harm, it has a responsibility to repair it. And today we still see the effects. The racial wealth gap in America didn't happen by chance. It was built over generations of policy.
And you're done, nigga. That's 2 minutes up. Alrighty.
All right.
Let's get to Trey. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
So the argument about reparations against reparations is one of ownership and responsibility and the implementation. So with ownership, slavery happened um over 400 years ago, and you said in 1965, that's when
That's one thing.
1865.
18, 1865 is when slavery ended, and in 1964 is when the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and 65, that's when it passed. But the descendants of slaves, how are you going to identify the descendants of slaves? So going through records of understand how um going through records and seeing the lineage is going to be one extenuous process. So what's going to be the cost? Who's going to bear the cost of this? Taxpayers? Is it going to be a collective fund for all taxpayers in America, or is it going to be reparations from white people to black people? Those are determinant factors of is this going to be against the Civil Rights Act, targeting one specific group receiving funds indiscriminately? Are we going to be able to identify who deserves what funds, how much funds? Are we going to have to go through genealogy pools to understand how much percentage of African American are you? Are Africans that came after that still receive the effects of segregation and Jim Crow? Are they going to be receiving funding? Are you going to identify who receives how much on on a national scale?
10 seconds.
So we have to understand how is it going to be implemented and who deserves what and how much, and then also if this is also going to be a um civil rights infringement.
Time is up. I ain't gonna lie. I like both arguments. Both open arguments were not bad. Um, if y'all want to go ahead and rotate, and Trey can go ahead with his actual open argument. Well, not open argument, but his actual argument. Or if he want to go ahead, whichever one y'all want to do. If y'all want to do the 1 through 10 again, what y'all want to do?
You could just pick, bro. Pick at random. Um,
Uh,
Okay. since Trey, you got first because since Key went first for last time.
Let's sneak it. Okay, so this is pretty much my argue. So we're gonna do like a minute or just back and forth.
It's gonna pretty much be like y'all got pretty much 5 minutes. What is it? What did you do? 5 or 10 minutes last time?
Uh, I think this is structured debate, probably like 8 or so.
Okay, yeah. You can do. Let's make it 10. So we can do 8:10 to 8:20. So you'll go ahead.
All right, cool. So I have a question. So my question, I'm gonna ask a question. How are you gonna identify who deserves how much in reparations?
Well, it can be a number picked. Like I'm pretty sure Black Americans would be happy with $10,000, $50,000, hell, $2,000. They gave the Japanese Americans $20,000. So I mean, I don't think we really need to harp on the number
Hmm.
because I mean,
No, no. How are you gonna determine who's a Black American? How are you gonna identify who receives the funding?
I
And
mean we
also, are h- what about mixed Americans? If you have a lineage of white and black, are you going to be receiving the same amount of funding as someone that's fully foundationally black?
Let me ask you this. Just because we can't, just because we don't have a concrete way, which can still be figured out, does that mean that we don't deserve reparations?
But you have to think practically. You have to implement these ideals.
You said
In
yes or
theory,
no.
no, we
Okay.
don't deserve it because one, we're not able to identify one collective group that would deserve the funding, and also implementing it would be counterintuitive to whatever we're trying to accomplish. Going to do another civil rights discrimination, like another civil rights
It's counterintuitive.
yeah.
So if we
Okay.
could figure out a plan, you would say that it's deserved. Like we figured out a concrete way. Like I mean, we keep logs. Like you identify. You can even do self-identification, um, which I mean, it may not be the best system, but it's a system. You also have resources like Ancestry.com. Um, so there are many ways to figure out if somebody's a Black American. Um, so are you
So
saying
then
that
who will be funding it?
the government, I mean, it was systematically backed
Okay.
that we were
But
enslaved.
the government, but the government is funded by who? The taxpayers.
Yes, and these wars are
So are we
funded
gonna
by taxpayers. Did you vote for
so
that
are we gonna
war?
have Black Americans funding other Black Americans?
Yeah,
So everybody collectively is gonna fund one group of individuals,
that's how it worked for the Japanese when they
and it's gonna
received
be racial.
$20,000. Yeah,
But the Japanese weren't because of their race. It was because of direct uh direct descendants, and people affected by that incarceration.
so we
It
weren't
wasn't
affected.
indiscriminate.
Were the
No, it
blacks
wasn't
not affected?
indiscriminate. Black people in general were affected, but you have to be able to identify who directly was affected. You can't indiscriminately do it based on race. With the Japanese, you can follow who was at those internment camps.
So we
But when it
can't
comes to
follow who
Black
was
Americans,
enslaved.
not the records. Every record isn't kept for slavery.
So if
And then
we could,
also,
so if we could figure out like we found like 20,000 people, like we could prove that they were because there are some records they're out there. If we could prove that 20,000 people were 20,000 families are descendants of slavery, do we deserve reparations
mm, no,
then? Okay.
But why?
because there's enough time since then to where you can separate yourself from the effects of slavery, but you can also have conditions outside of um like redlining and things did hold you back. But depending on these people's individual stories, they have they may have had more opportunities to escape that position that they didn't capitalize on. So the effects of slavery may not have been as hazardous or tremendous to them as it was for other people of other races that were affected by other tragedies that's happened in history. Just
So,
because they're descendants of slaves does not mean that they deserve reparations. Because who's to know that they have been negatively affected by it?
Is
What
can
if
can I ask you a question? And just let me follow my line of questioning. All right. So, is it easier to be a slave in society or the slave master?
was I have one more, I have one counter question.
You said yes or no.
No, I do have one counter question.
So
I'm gonna give one
no
counter.
answer.
Well, was society only divided by slave masters and slaves?
Did you say yes or no to my question?
Those are the only two categories. Were the only two categories
Hey
slave
Trey,
and
I would
free?
like you to answer the question.
It still be worse for a slave.
Okay. All right. Now go ahead with your question. I'll consider answering.
So is the only two options slave, master, and slave? Were those the only two categories of social status throughout history?
No, but when it's systematically backed that you are a slave based on race, or that you're gonna receive discrimination based on race, it isn't. Slavery isn't the only reason we deserve reparations. We also have to think about the 1960s. It didn't just magically end because slavery ended. And
Yeah,
this
we
is
still
only
had
two
Jim
to
Crow
three.
and black codes and shit like that too.
Um, but hold on, 2 to 3. This is 2 to 3 generations. Like this is not like 3,000 years ago. This isn't 1,000 years ago. Your great 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 grandfather was likely um, at the hands of discrimination, certainly, and perhaps a slave.
But my question is, how are people that weren't slave owners going to be held responsible for the actions of slave owners?
The
Because if you want to
same
think about it,
way. Listen, it is government backed. It was systematic. It was done by the government. The same way that we gave reparations for the Japanese, and you can look this up. The same way that we gave them $20,000. That $20,000 didn't come from nowhere. It came from the taxpayer dollars. And mind you, this was in 1988. And 20,000 goes a lot further today. No, 20,000 is a lot more now than it was back then. Um,
Trey, I got a question before Keith finishes. When you're saying we don't deserve reparations, who are you thinking the reparations would come from?
I think the reparations is a universally funded thing for everybody in America. That's what he said earlier.
it is.
So everybody in America will be paying for the
So,
reparations.
so Key, you're saying it's gonna come from taxpayers and government, or you just saying strictly the government?
I mean, by nature of it coming from the government, it's going to come from taxpayer because the government uses our money to fund everything that they do. For example, those wars in Ukraine and Russia that we didn't vote for. How about we give back to the American, the Black American specifically?
Okay.
How do we determine Black American?
Well, there are many ways you could go based on historic. You can, number one, we could damn near go off a look. Number two, there's birth certificate. Let's look at your parents. Look at your grandparents. Did your parents, are they from Africa? If they're from Africa, get out of line. You don't get reparations. Only Black Americans whose folks have been in this country for generations since the start. In fact, deserve reparations. And the key reason that we deserve it is because whites benefited off of slave labor, unpaid forced labor. They benefited. They received a benefit. That's why it's uneven today. That, like, you could say that it's nothing is holding Black people back today. But the truth is, if my grandfather was an enslaver versus the enslaved, I would have a much better life. For example, you have people at my job. I work at a Fortune 100 company. Is it easier for me to work at Lockheed if if my father was the director of Lockheed Martin? Wouldn't it be a lot easier for me to get in versus being a Black American and having to go through NSBE to get a job, which was basically DEI?
My question is, how are we only categorizing as owner and owned when there's a complete gray area that has also dealt with the same issues that Black Americans have uh, dealt with economically, but it's
Wait, why are
still
we talking about owner and owned if we're talking about strictly Black Americans getting reparations?
because he said slave master and slave.
But what
So,
does the slave master have to do with anything? Are we saying, yeah, we're saying slave master benefited? Yes, I understand that part. But what is the part where you keep mentioning the slave owner coming from? What is that referring to?
because it's talking about responsibility. So if the only slave master benefited from it, you have to think about who's responsible for paying that back. I feel like if we're having a universal tax code where everybody in America is paying back for something of the slave masters have done, then that wouldn't make sense.
Did
That's misplacing that responsibility.
reparations from all right, do you realize that Holocaust survivors in Germany receive reparations? Did every German hold Jews in internment camps and concentration camps and subjugate them to gas chambers? No, but they collectively had to pay it because the government did it, which is backed by the people.
That's misplaced responsibility then.
So all right, nobody fuck it. It just happened. Like, we could just say my kid did some bad shit, and I'm supposed to be watching him. Nobody's gonna pay for the shit that he just destroyed. I shouldn't even be cursing, excuse me. But like somebody has to deal with these consequences. Like it's not just open air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really hard arguing a argument that you don't agree with. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's hard to play arguing you don't agree with.
Y'all want to
That's
go
too.
into this is
Open.
8:20 now, 8:21. Y'all want to go into y'all closings?
I would do one
Yeah.
more open debate, because I still have some
Okay,
more points that.
go ahead.
Fudge,
Y'all
hold
got
on.
another 10 minutes. It's 8:21. Go to 8:31.
Damn. Another 10?
Well, if you want to
Yeah.
just go ahead and concede, we can stop there.
Yeah.
You concede?
For sure. I need an argument I actually agree with. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Well, key one.
I can't argue against reparations. I'm gonna be honest. I thought I could, and then we start doing this shit. I'm like, all right, bro.
I ain't gonna lie. You started off strong though. I ain't gonna lie, cause until he actually started getting into his reasonings of why he felt like we should deserve reparations, you was right there with him. But it's you can't argue against that shit, man.
Like,
Especially when he made the point about Japanese people doing it. But the only thing I would have argued if I was you,
yeah,
I would have said, so if we're gonna let taxpayers, uh, if we're gonna let taxpayers, what am I trying to say? He said taxpayers and the government is gonna be the ones funding the reparations, right?
yeah.
The only thing I would have argued would have been don't black people pay taxes?
That's what I did argue. I argued that earlier. So I said black people will also be responsible for paying back against reparations.
Yeah,
That's misplaced responsibility.
So
I would have stuck on there because he wouldn't have had no comeback from that.
I did have a comeback.
You
Black
didn't.
people will pay that goddamn money. We will pay that money.
Oh well, but it's kind of like
You'll get it
counterintuitive
back.
there too, because like
You'll get it
you're
back.
basically paying this shit, but are you gonna get it back in a lump sum though?
You don't
Like, are you
pay
gonna get back more than what you put in?
when you pay taxes. Like, what are you getting back now? Like, let's start there. What are you even getting back now? It gets automatically taken. Like, you don't even see the amount unless you choose exempt, but you're still gonna have to pay it back at the end of the year. Um,
Yep.
so like your tax dollars go to various places and you don't already see it back. So I mean, if you knew that you might be getting reparations, shit, I might be happy to pay taxes if I knew I might the lump sum that I get back was $20,000 like the Japanese Americans.
That I can understand.
I'm gonna be
That's a good
honest.
point
I
too.
feel like it should be more than $20,000.
Shit, it
None
should
of
be
my
way more than that. Nigga, it should be a couple.
hey man, we need
Well, per
50.
person,
Them niggas getting 20, bro. We need way more than
I ain't
that,
gonna
bro.
lie. Think
That's
about it like this: if
generations of
they
that
were
shit.
to give all Black Americans reparations, bro, it's so many of us, bro. Like it's to the point where we're almost the primary race in the country.
Yeah, that shit finna be a
That's why they
bankrupt
hate us so much.
economy. That shit will bankrupt our economy.
Yeah, like it would literally bankrupt our economy where it wouldn't be nothing that they could do.
The thing is, they actually probably shouldn't give us reparations in the form of cash money. It should be in the form of maybe some cash money, but not mostly cash money. It should be like
I
land
say it should be in
or
land, yeah,
I feel
land
like
for
it should be
sure.
investment in
yeah,
research.
it could be even in stock. So
Stock? Nah, not stock. Because they have to
education.
manage stock. I feel like it should be something physical that they tangible, physical and tangible that they can be engage with consistently.
So you wouldn't take
Like a
at the
Drake.
start of birth like $1,000 in the S&P 500?
I feel like I don't think it should be the S&P 500. I feel like it would be like it should be a bond or something, like
Okay, bond is reasonable.
like a federal bond that everybody pays
I
into.
heard. Who in there? Everybody on this phone.
Okay, Trey, do you have any other topics that
The meat is in the
No, I
do you
want
microwave.
have
to
any other
we got to think of one.
Yeah, the corn is just
Really,
taking forever. I don't know why.
I
hot
want one that's
takes?
like I'm really trying to like get in my bag on
Hold on,
because it's
I'm gonna
like damn.
send some hot takes that I